Welcome to the Academic Writing Amplified podcast. On this podcast, we believe that the culture of academia needs to change radically. Women and non-binary people are revolutionizing academia within institutions that were not built for us. If you're ready to reject the culture of overwork, kick guilt and overwhelm to the curb, and amplify your voice to make a real impact on your field without breaking down or burning out, you're in the right place. With our team of experienced writing coaches as co-hosts, we'll share insights and talk to inspiring guests to bring you the practical strategies, systems, and mindset shifts you need to find time to write, publish work you love, and design your career on your terms. And it all starts with writing. Let's go.
Hello, everyone. Today is a big, exciting day for me. I'm your host, Kathy Mazak, and I am happy to announce that today, the ebook of my book, Making Time to Write, is available on all the major online bookstores. Many of you have already purchased the ebook directly from us as like a preview copy, but now it is available officially to the world, and I am super excited. And I think now, I think I'm less nervous and just more straight up excited. So, when I was putting the finishing touches on the book last fall, I never thought this day would come. It seems so far away, but here it is. You can send everyone to your favorite online bookstore outlet to purchase Making Time to Write. So today, in honor of the ebook release, I wanted to really dig into why I decided to write this book, which is called Making Time to Write. Because there's a difference between making time to write and publishing. But what really we want to do, right, is publish. Of course, it seems that making time to write is the precursor to publication. But I really want to dig in today's episode about why I decided to write a book called Making Time to Write and why the other things that I do in our programs, especially, are really more focused on publications now. So it's a little bit of a journey, and I hope it will be helpful for you as you grapple with how you're going to make time to write, and also how for you that will lead to more publications. When I first started this business over 5 years ago, I started by blogging. And what I noticed as I started to get my blog in front of more eyes, and I started doing one-on-one coaching for academics around writing and publishing, what I noticed was that people were like, I just don't have time to write, right? I just don't have time. So the biggest pain point or complaint that I heard from academics was that idea around making time to write. And the belief, right, is that if I just had this time, then the publications would happen because my real obstacle is time. So when I was developing content and even developing our signature program, Navigate, which, by the way, is open for enrollment today. We will have the link in the show notes for that. We are opening the doors to everyone for Navigate and releasing the ebook on the same day. So super exciting day. But when I started Navigate, I also kind of made the program promise that you would make time to write, right? That by the end of Navigate, you would have time to write. And through the years, I've been kind of stuck on that idea of the program promise being making time to write because I hear it just so often, and it's something that I want to respond to. And that's why I wrote the book, right? And when you read the book, and if you take our Navigate program, you will realize that it's really not about time, that you think it's about time. But that is only one piece and not even the biggest piece in what's holding you back from having the career that you really want. Both making literal time on your calendar to write and having that writing time lead to submitted publications and thus, right, publications out in the world, because nothing's getting out in the world that we don't submit. That journey or those things, the process of making that happen, I want everyone to think of as a process of controlling their career, a process of really like understanding what they desire for their own career and then making that happen. So maybe you found this podcast because of the book, or maybe you found this podcast because someone recommended it to you. And you're like, I'm going to get some productivity strategies, right? For making that time to write. Because my real problem is I just don't have the time to write. Great. I'm so glad you're here. That's why I want people to pick up the book. That's why it's called Making Time to Write, because I know that that title is going to make a lot of people pick up the book because it resonates, because that's what everyone's been telling me for the past, almost 6 years. And that is just the first baby step in transforming your career. So my desire, my hope with titling the book, Making Time to Write, was to like get you to pick it up. And then inside the book to help you have the transformation that's really necessary in order to get what you really want out of your career. So it's a little chain, right? Time to write, submitted publications, publications in the world. And in the process of doing that, doing the work that it takes to make that happen for yourself, you are becoming the master of your career. You're like wrangling your career, because sometimes it feels like it's out of your control, right? It feels like when you become a professor, there's so many things pulling on your time. You're trying to manage the relationship between teaching, research, and service. It becomes like this juggling act of balls in the air. And it does feel like those balls kind of come crashing down, like at maybe even kind of predictable times every semester. And what I want you to feel is that you have a clear direction in your career. It's the direction that you want. It's not the direction that somebody else, your department, your dean, even like the higher ups in your field, your mentor, like your advisor, it's not what they want. It might also be what they want, but it's what you truly want to do with your career. And the power comes when you make that decision about what it is that you want. Okay, that is the power moment. All the other things, the making time to write and submitting publications, are supporting you in stepping into that agency over your career. So for a long time, I really thought if I can just teach people how to like rearrange their schedules so that they can make time to write, which is what they want, then they're going to get the results of publishing, right? Which is not true. So that's one step, but there's more pieces. The Making Time to Write book, what it really is trying to do is help you make the mindset shift that's going to let you implement real like boundaries around your time, a real stepping into that agency, figuring out what your academic mission is and stepping into that. It's going to help you see through, like, it's like that, pierce the veil, pull back the curtain so that you see a lot of the things that are holding you back from having time to write as patriarchy in action, as institutions set up in order to keep you small. So that's what the book is really trying to do. It's taking you through a process of making time to write, but helping you also to change your thinking about what you can and can't do, and what, like, how you're listening maybe right now more to the shoulds out there about what you should be doing, and less to your own inner mentor, your own inner voice that's telling you what you want to do. So making time to write is about a mindset shift. It's about a mindset shift. Are there practical strategies in the book? 100%. And there's a workbook that goes with the book. So if you get Making Time to Write, you'll see all over the inside of the book, I'll refer to a workbook, which you can go and download as well. It's a PDF workbook that you can get. And that has even more like practical strategies, because I don't know if you heard the episode I did. I've done many book episodes now about the process, taking you on the journey with me of writing the book. And there was a moment where I realized this is not a how-to book. Okay. This book is really more about mindset, about those first, like deeply getting into what are the things you need to believe, how do we need to shift the way we think? How do we need to expose certain ideas as racist, ableist patriarchy so that we can really step into what we want for our careers. So Making Time to Write is about that. It's about that owning your career and how it feels, right? Like deciding that I don't want my career to feel like I'm on a treadmill set too fast. Like I don't want my career every single semester to feel like I just am scraping my way through finals and through turning in grades, and then I collapse, right? Like there's a lot of ebbs and flows in academia, and it's not healthy. And it's not what I want for you, right? Like, I don't think it's what you want for yourself to have these like real valleys, right? Like peaks, maybe there aren't even that many peaks, right? And then these like crashes that kind of go along with the academic semester. It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. It's why so many women, especially women and people who are, I want to say people who are caregivers, but I even feel like people who prioritize caring for themselves, really, truly, right? Like all those people, they get out of academia because it's too much to do the roller coaster every semester or the roller coaster of the year. It's just too much, right? And not only caregivers have this problem, right? Like there's lots of reasons that up and down, crash and burn roller coaster thing doesn't work for humans. Not good. Not good. So instead, what I'm trying to do is help through the book and then also through our programs. I'm going to talk about Navigate in a second to really like help people do the work that's necessary to create the boundaries, to create the systems, and also to create the self-trust and the self-knowing so that you don't have to ride that roller coaster. Like there's always going to be ups and downs. There's always going to be, to some point, maybe crashes, but can we predict them? Can we manage them? Can we make them less painful? There's a whole section of the book that is about, a whole chapter of the book that's about managing the ebbs and flows. And I try to kind of categorize the different ups and downs that we experience because some of them are predictable. And so how do we manage the predictable ones? And then there are the derailments, the unpredictable things that are like, I was writing and everything was cool and I had it dialed in. And then I got sick, or my kid got sick, or some wild thing happened in the world and I lost my writing practice entirely. So how to deal with both predictable disruptions to your writing practice and unpredictable disruptions, because the idea that you are never going to get disrupted, or the idea that you should not react to disruption with a loss of work, right, is fast capitalism. It's patriarchy. It's like you're supposed to pretend like you're a machine and that you can just do it exactly the same all the time. You can't. It's inhuman to think that when something happens to you, that you can just power on. Like, it is such a toxic kind of mindset that we are supposed to be kind of almost like unaffected brains without bodies inside of academia. And so I spend a lot of time in the book talking about how do you deal with those both predictable and unpredictable disruptions? How do you get back to writing again after you've been disrupted? Because it's going to happen. And because I also know that you want to get back. Like, that's the other thing too, like that I hear that from my audience, right? That like, oh, I would have been fine. Everything was fine. Then this thing happened. And sometimes it's then finals hit, right? And I had to drop everything. Then I, led this campus thing and I had to kind of drop everything to make that event happen, or health problems or kids' health problems or parents' health problems or death in the family or whatever other thing, right? That happens to humans. Depressive episodes, anxiety attacks, like all the things, right? Pain management, all of that. When those things that are parts of being humans in bodies and humans in the social world, like when those things, it feels like they derail you and your writing, like how to gently, without, so much guilt and without so much self-deprecating, why can't I do this kind of language in your head? How do you get back into a nice writing rhythm after all of that? So there's a lot of the book is about that. It's something that I really wanted to go into. Like, it's something I always want to talk about more in my programs, but I think that the book is like the best format for really diving in to that idea of like recovering from disruptions. Okay, so making time to write, right? We've covered a little bit of that. I think I've given you even more of a sense of what's in the book. And my motivation for writing a book that's called that was that so many people said, well, that's my problem. And I'm not saying that that's not your problem. That could absolutely be your problem. And you could read this $17 book and you'd be fixed, right? That's ridiculous. Like you don't fix people. But like you would be like, okay, now I got it. And I'm off to the races, right? There's another piece. And when I realized this, it was so helpful. First, it was helpful because I was like, okay, well, that helped me like really understand making time to write is about the mindset shifts. It's about the believing that you have agency. It's about seeing the patriarchy for what it is and being able to say, oh, like the institution is set up for me to do it this way, but I can do it this other way. That's going to be more in line with how I want my career to be. So that's the book. And for a long time, like I said, the program promise of Navigate, which is our signature program, was that too, was making time to write. But this last year, I really made this realization in the fall, again, when I was writing the book or finishing the book, like it was like when I would hold the book up against the Navigate content, I was like, oh, this is the difference, right? And I wrote a new program promise for Navigate. So if you're new to this and you've never heard what Navigate is, Navigate Your Writing Roadmap, registered trademark, it's registered, yay, is a year-long program. It's for women and non-binary professors. And here's the program promise. I'm going to read it so I get it right. Navigate helps tenure-track professors double their publishing output in a year by implementing 10 essential productivity systems with the weekly support of coaching and peers. Now, you'll notice I use the word productivity. The reason that I use that word, I actually don't love that word. The alternative in that statement would be 10 essential time and project management systems, which is more like on brand for us. But people come looking for productivity solutions. I'm putting productivity in air quotes. The reason I don't like the word productivity is because I feel like it feels very robot-like you're on a production line and you're creating products. And that's not how I talk about writing. But I know that people kind of understand and are looking for productivity solutions. Again, I don't think that productivity in the like, I'm going to read this book about productivity and then it solves everything. No, it doesn't, because of everything I said, right? Because it needs a mindset shift, because it needs like more than that. You need to have a mission that you are working towards, and that mission needs to be articulated. You have to understand your pipeline. You have to understand so many things that are going to lead you to the results. And for Navigate, the result is, we say, right, is that you will double your publishing output. Now, what does that mean? What that means is that I really have no doubt that inside of our Navigate program, what we provide, all the support that we provide, all the systems and training that we provide works together, that I feel really comfortable saying that you're going to double your publication output. So that means that if like last year, maybe you were able to submit one article, right? Because it was hard and many things were happening. Maybe you didn't even submit an article last year. Maybe you wrote most of an article, or maybe you made headway on several articles but didn't submit anything, okay? Which I think is really typical of our kind of ideal Navigate client, is often a person who has a lot of pots on the stove and is like moving projects forward little by little, but not getting them all the way to submit, right? So we know that with the systems we have in place in Navigate now and how the program has been redesigned since around November of last year, we know, like, I feel super confident, like you absolutely can double. You're doubling your publication output. The reason for that language is because obviously if you publish 0, we're not going to double it to get 0, right? Like that's not what I'm trying to communicate. Instead, like, if you're one of these people who has, maybe you have 3, 5 articles that are like in process, that I feel really confident you can get 3 articles out the door, unless maybe you're a historian, to, in a year when you take Navigate and do the things, right? Like, don't just buy Navigate. Like you take Navigate and you participate in the program. Even if you, again, like ebbs and flows, right? Sometimes you participate at a higher level in the program than other times. That's okay. It's a year. I'm not expecting anybody to do the same thing every week for a year. Ebbs and flows, ups and downs. That's what we are navigating, right? But let me tell you about the difference between the making time to write promise and the double your publication output promise. Okay. Because I think that's really important. And if any of you are thinking about joining us in Navigate now, doors open today for everyone. So if you got a friend who thinks who you might think would want to do it, please send them our way, refer them to this podcast, forward them one of our emails, because registration is open from today, May 3rd, until May 15th. And we're doing a special book integrated version of Navigate. So you get the physical copy, which nobody can get until August. You're going to get the physical copy of Making Time to Write. We're going to ship it to your house. I have them here in my office. You can't see, but they're here in boxes waiting for you. So you're going to get a physical copy of the book, and we're going to do a book club. And these two pieces, the Making Time to Write with the submitting for publication piece or the publication output piece, are going to be super integrated into this round of Navigate. And also, if you're listening, by the way, if you join our Navigate alumni program, you also get the book and the integration. If you're already in Navigate now, or in one of our other programs, or in our alumni program for our other programs, you will also get access to the book club. So just know that, because I know many of you who are listening are actually in a program right now already. So you'll get the book club access. And if you join Navigate now, or the Navigate alumni program now, in this promotion period before May 15th, then we'll send you the book in hard copy, which won't be available till August. So you get first. Okay, all of that said. So the program promise of Navigate and how it's different. So in Navigate, we begin with Making Time to Write. And we take you through
a series of very hands-on, like literally exercises that are working you towards having space in your calendar for writing. And that is just the beginning. So in Navigate, there are 5 program milestones. At each milestone, we ask you to submit, so you have a syllabus for the year. And in the syllabus, it says, okay, on this day, submit your milestone report, basically, your milestone form. And you tell us whether you've hit the milestone or not. And then we can give you some email coaching around that. So if you haven't hit it, we give you, according to what you tell us in your form, then we can send advice your way that will help you to hit it. If you have hit it, then we just, we want to celebrate with you and everything. So the first milestone, which happens about 10 weeks, maybe less than that, into our Navigate program, is that you have 2 hours booked on your calendar for writing every week. Okay, that's the minimum. And then, because for 10 weeks, we are taking you through a series of exercises that makes that really easy, like super easy. So we are writing your academic mission statement. We're taking you through a series of rubrics to align all the activities that you do behind your academic mission statement. We're helping you implement things inside of your calendar and in the way you interact with your students and your colleagues that are going to make those interactions more efficient and more bounded, so that you are freeing up space in your calendar. So one of the things we want you to feel in your calendar is spaciousness. Right now, if your calendar is super booked up, then we want you to feel that kind of spaciousness in your calendar. And then we're taking you through all these exercises, giving you tools to do that. And we do the ideal calendar versus real calendar exercise as well in the program. And by the time you get there, you will have those 2 hours at least. I think you'll have 4 hours. So how do we support you in that? Because that sounds nice, right? How do we support you in making that stick a little bit, making that a little sticky? One thing is that every Monday we are doing a momentum mindset call. And we call the momentum mindset because we're trying to get momentum in your writing. And it's a live half-hour call with your peers. So it's coach-led. And then we basically take you through an exercise with your peers. It's a half an hour, so it's super succinct and a little jolt of energy. And I will say here, we are going to add a second momentum mindset time. So if you're listening, you're Mondays are packed for me or whatever, we are going to be adding a second time on Tuesdays. So if you're in our community, that announcement's coming really soon. It'll be just for 3 months. We're testing a new time, an additional time. Okay. Also, every day we have co-writing times. Now, let me explain what co-writing is and how we manage it. So this is a strategy that whether you join Navigate or not, you can use, and it's really helpful. So maybe you get a hold of making time to write the book and you're I'm going to do all these things. I'm putting my boundaries, my mindset's better, but I still am having trouble holding that appointment, which, by the way, the book talks a lot about. But, I'm having trouble holding that appointment. One of the things that's helpful we have found is co-writing. And co-writing is you get on the Zoom, you're muted, you put your goals for the session in the chat, and you can either leave your video on or turn it off, and you are just with other people who are also working. And then at the end of the hour, we ask you to tell us, how it went. In the chat, it's completely silent. So we have some of these sessions. We have 6 sessions a day, and various sessions are hosted by our Momentum mentors. And they are this amazing little group of academic women who have been in our programs, who have graduated from our programs, and who really believe in co-writing and use it themselves. And they act as hosts sometimes and kind of encourage people to, tell us their goals and keep going and all that kind of stuff. And so we have support for you inside of those calls as well. So between the momentum mindset and the co-writing and all the training
and exercises that we take you through in Navigate, like there is no doubt in my mind that you will find those 2 hours and you will be able to very regularly keep them. And that's the first step. There's so much more. So that piece of like doubling that publishing output, the rest of it has so much to do with project management and planning. And the way that we teach project management, yes, we like teach like, here, try these project management things. And the thing that makes us different in the way that we teach project management is that we want you to learn about yourself. And we call it the process of self-knowing. What we want to do is stop you from being like, I should do X. And instead be like, this is me. This is the way I work. How can I lean into that in order to have more benefit, right? So if you're deadline driven, be deadline driven. Like, why do you have to not be deadline driven? Like that, a lot of people work really well that way. But knowing that about yourself and also saying like, I shouldn't be so deadline driven. I should get these things done in advance. None of that is helpful. And so what we're going for when we teach project management inside of Navigate is predictability. Maybe you've had this experience, most people do, where you're like, gosh, I can never estimate how long it takes me to do things. That's because there's these like shoulds coming at you and these outside beliefs about how long it should take you to do something that are in conflict with how long it actually takes you to do something. But you don't know how long it actually takes you to do something because nobody's ever said to you, you need to figure that out and then use that. So that's what we do. So we give you project management tools. We help you develop this process of self-knowing that is going to take that self-judgment out and really start to trust. Okay. Trust who you are inside. You got this far because you're awesome. Let's like figure out how to like dig into that awesomeness and have it feel non-judged and, have you really feel great about what you can do. And let's make your projects predictable. It's so much better to be predictable than fast. Everybody wants to be fast, right? But fast is so relative. And there's no like, it's all like this judgment of like what we think other people are doing. It's like, no, don't forget what we think other people are doing. Like, we don't know. We don't even know. So instead, figure out what you're doing and figure out how you can be more predictable, because that predictability is going to feel spacious and it's going to feel like you have time to think, and it's going to feel so much better than things feel right now. So that's a big part of the doubling your publication output, is having these project management systems that are super predictable, that you design, that you figure out based on, like, we help you do that in Navigate. I was going to say you figure it out for yourself, but no, we teach you how to figure it out. And then you're implementing. We also support you in Navigate with writing sprints, guided writing sprints. So like we take you through a process of sprinting as a group 3 times a year. We do planning. There's 3 planning sessions a year that really help you develop your planning skills. So all of that is super important and will help you meet the rest of the other 4 Navigate milestones. So time to write's the first part. Making time to write's the first part. And during that time where you're learning the time to write systems inside of Navigate, we're reading the beginning of the book and we're going to be having book club calls. Let me just take a second for the book club calls. The book club calls are led by our 3 amazing coaches, Gina, Thea, and Rocio. So they are going to be really helping you to dig into the content of the 3 main sections of the book. So the book club is really going to take everything to the next level for people who read the book and then who also are in Navigate, learning these ways to implement what you need in order to double your publication output in the next year. So they are just going to be super valuable. It's more coaching for you and it's going to be fun. Yeah, I'm just really excited about the book club. So if you join by May 15th, if you join Navigate by May 15th, you get those book club calls or the Navigate alumni program as well. So in order to get that publication output higher, right, you're going to need productivity systems. And I just described some of what we do, right, inside of Navigate. The final piece that we learn inside of Navigate is pipeline. And we really dig into a curated pipeline, because the problem that many of you have is certainly not that you don't have enough ideas. It's certainly not that you don't have enough data. A lot of you are sitting on a lot of data. It's that you need to have a pipeline designed that's very curated and very aligned with your academic mission. So when you have that in place, it's so much easier to make decisions, and it's so much easier to get projects all the way through the pipeline, because you're not just publishing anything. You're really publishing the high value, highly on mission things that are basically telling the world who you are and getting that voice out in the world. So that's what's going through the pipeline. It's not crammed out of fear. And this is something I talk about in the book as well. This is why the book and the program go so well together. You know, you're not making decisions based on fear. You're making decisions from a place of abundance. Like, I have plenty of things to say. I've got plenty of opportunities to publish, and I'm going to choose the most impactful ones for my career. And that's how I'm going to really craft my career, design my career is what I say. Like, we design it. It's like intentional. So to do that, you have to have a curated pipeline, and you have to know your pipeline really well. It's something that becomes like a high-level project plan for your year, really. And you need to know what your pipeline looks like. Again, it's really a process of self-knowing. Like, I can come in and I can tell you, here's a generic pipeline. We do that. We start with the generic pipeline. And then in Navigate, we teach you how to customize it so that it's your pipeline, because it has to work for you as both like a representation of the work that you have in process and also as a high-level project plan. So I hope that this episode has been helpful in terms of like, what is the connection between I have time, now I have some time on my calendar, and the other pieces that need to be in place in order to have that time have publications as a result. And so what I like to say, and I think I've said in a previous episode, is that making time to write the book is a format in which I could go really deep into the mindset stuff, into the dealing with disruptions, into some things that we don't go as, deep into inside of Navigate. So that's why it's like the perfect complement to Navigate. And then in Navigate, those next step pieces, the project management, the pipeline management, the planning, the predictability, the really understanding your curated pipeline, all of that happens in Navigate. And the program is a year long because these are not quick fix things. Like, so much of professional development in academia is like a one-time presentation or a 12-week boot camp. Like, yeah, we'll do this, and while I'm doing it for 12 weeks, I can sustain it. But we want you to sustain the practices that help make your career feel spacious and help you publish more. We want you to sustain those practices for your entire career, not just for the 12 weeks where we have you intensely in a program. And that's why Navigate's a year long, is because I feel like to fulfill this program promise, it takes a year. It's simple, but it's not easy. And it needs support. It needs community. It needs sustained relationship with your writing and also with other people who are able to support you and share some of your values inside of academia. So I'm so happy that you joined me for today's podcast episode. If you want to go get the ebook, it is now available from all the major book publishing outlets. So go and grab it. I would love for you to have the ebook. The paper copy of the book will be available online and in bookstores in August, but you can get it first if you join Navigate by May 15th. I will send you a copy. Like I said, they're sitting behind me in my office. I can't wait to send you one. So Navigate is open for enrollment as of today. Our official enrollment period is today through May 15th. We've already had a bunch of people sign up in our pre-enrollment period. So if you want to join them, which I hope you do, you get our book, but you also get access to our 3 book club calls, which will be happening a little later in the summer. We want to make sure we have time for everybody to get the book in their hands. And the book club will be happening with 3 coach-led live calls. We can't wait to do those. So exciting. And again, just thank you so much for being a podcast listener. Would love to have you rate and review, and would love to have you join us in our next cohort of Navigate. All right. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you so much for spending your valuable time supporting yourself and your writing by listening to this episode. If you like what you heard today, the best way to say thank you is to hop on over to Apple iTunes and write an honest review. The more reviews, the more amazing academic women and non-binary people will find this podcast. So go write one now.